What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing well. Now today I've got for you a couple of crazy entitled parent stories. The first one involving some kids and a Tesla. Let's go. Kids running riots in Tesla showroom. Post complaining about it gets swarmed by entitled parents. I'm not sure if this post is allowed, but I need to let off some steam. So I'm currently in the process of looking at getting an electric vehicle. In the UK, there's a massive tax incentive to get one at the moment, and it makes them very reasonable. I visited Hyundai and Nissan showrooms this weekend and test drove a couple of cars, and the staff have been helpful, explaining about the cars and being very friendly. So we go to Tesla last weekend, and there are kids running riots. Kids sat in the cars playing with the screens while their parents take pictures of them. So I don't get to spend much time with the car, which is annoying having traveled an hour to get there. I do have a test drive booked, however. Following this, I make a post on the Tesla subreddit discussing my experience, and pretty much universally, I'm downvoted and attacked for being a miser. People were saying how kids will be kids, how kids should have priority over me because they might be able to convince their parents one day, how I don't know what I'm talking about because I don't have kids, I can see bad parenting when I see it, and just general unpleasantness. I don't get this modern day thing of kids being able to do what they like. When I was a kid, I wouldn't be able to run riot in a car showroom. And let's have a look at this actual post. Okay, so here you can see it on the Tesla subreddit, kids running riot in Tesla showroom. Let's go into the comments then. Let's see what the comments are saying. I really want to know, what would you have Tesla do? Ban kids? Control the kids? Control the parents? Lasers? It is unfortunate that you had a bad time at the showroom, but I feel like that's how any store is. I learned to live with the fact whenever I go to Apple stores. Now I kind of see what OP is saying here. I don't agree with this comment at all. Like, surely you just get the parents or just expect the parents to control their own kids and not run around affecting potential buyers like the original OP. I don't understand this. Another comment. This isn't something that happens often in my experience. Sorry you had a bad visit. I can't believe you made a post about kids playing. I can't wait for your post about the Tesla experience of owning later. OP actually replied to this one. So you think kids should be running around car showrooms stopping potential buyers from being able to spend time with the car? You think kids should be able to do what they like? Okay, look, overall, I completely get it. Look, I'm not completely sure I agree with OP here. I think that it's bound to happen that kids are going to be with their parents and they're going to be running around excited by Teslas. They're very exciting cars. They've got like big old screens in them. That's exciting for a kid. It's going to happen. But I do also see what OP is saying, that it is probably annoying for him when he goes to buy a Tesla and he can't even sit in one because there are kids messing about and affecting his, ability to buy a car or test a car as well. It's a tough one though, it's a tough one. Overall, I'd say that although some of the replies in the r/Tesla subreddit were pretty entitled as we saw, overall, I kind of get that kids will be kids, it's not that deep. Now moving on to our second story. Now this actually comes from r/EntitledKids. Entitled Kid gets bad grade on final projects and tries to sabotage my final project, featuring a little bit of r/Pro Revenge. Love to hear that. For some backstory, this story happened during my senior year of high school during 2011, and this entitled kid has been a thorn in my side. Now this has been going on since the day she decided that she was better than me, due to her having money and being able to flash her expensive stuff around and being popular because she was a cheerleader. It was the 3 months before the end of the school year, and we were told by Mrs. B as class starts that we would be assigned into groups to work on our final projects, or we can work individually. I didn't mind working in a group, so I let Mrs. B group us up. Okay then, Group 1 will be students 1 to 4, Group 2 will be students 5 to 8, Group 3 will be the entitled cheerleader, OP, and student 9, Group 4 will be EK, the entitled cheerleader's friend, and student 10. The entitled cheerleader raises her hand. Miss B? Yes? She flips her blonde hair over her shoulder. I don't want to work with OP. Can I work with my friend instead? We had a great idea for our final project. Well, I can't keep letting you switch groups all the time, and OP is a very nice person. Why don't you want to work with her? Because she rarely ever contributes to class and just sits there like a mute. Maybe she doesn't feel like talking. You shouldn't judge someone just because they don't want to talk. Look, it's okay, Miss B. I don't mind working independently. The entitled cheerleader and our entitled friend stare at me with a surprised Pikachu face, as if it's their first time hearing me talk. Miss B asks, OP, are you sure? I'm sure. Look, it might take a bit longer for me to finish, but I'll get it done by myself. Okay, if you say so, and she walks over and writes down all the groups and the names of who's in which group, while the entitled cheerleader and her friend give me smug looks. Everyone breaks off into their groups, thinking of what they plan on doing for their projects. I pull out my notebook and start writing down possible ideas for my project, until Anna, the class aide, walks over and sits down by me and whispers, "Hey, the entitled cheerleader and the entitled kid are staring at you." I know, I saw them smirking at me when Miss B turned her back to write the names on the whiteboard. I hope whatever it is they're planning doesn't involve messing up your project. If something happens to my project, they'll be my main suspects. Miss B calls Anna over to her desk and asks Anna to deliver a pass for her, leaving me to my thoughts. I write down several ideas and spend most of the class trying to make the idea good, until the entitled cheerleader raises her hand and asks, "Miss B, can our final project be a counting game?" It can be whatever you want it to be. A counting game, a storybook, board game. As long as it's creative, child appropriate, and can hold a preschooler's attention, it's fine. When Miss B said storybook, it helped me think of what I could turn my project into. It brought back a memory of 5th grade, where I was asked to create my own story. So I started creating my characters and the storyline. I get halfway through the story when Miss B reminds everyone that if they want her to look over their first draft, to bring it up to her desk and she'll give her opinion on it. So I walk up and show her the part I've finished currently. Miss B looks it over and tells me it's a good start, and if I needed her to look over the full story, I just have to show it to her the next day and she'll proofread it. Later that afternoon, after I get home from school, I spend most of the time focused on the story before tackling the rest of my homework. The next day, I have the full story written out and hand it to Miss B for proofreading. She gives me advice on where I could improve/change to keep the kids' attention, but overall, the mistakes were minor. So I go and type up the full story, save it to my flash drive, import it for later, and start making the booklet that will be holding the book together. I use the paper cutouts provided in the classroom for most of my characters. I slightly changed the storyline a bit when I realised she didn't have the proper cutout for certain characters, and I made the cutouts myself as best I could. Before cutting out the paragraph and gluing it to the page it's supposed to go with, drawing emotions so everyone can see how the characters are feeling, etc., I noticed that all the while the entitled cheerleader and her entitled friend aren't actually working on their projects. They're just laughing, chatting and giggling amongst themselves and occasionally glaring at me. About a week into us starting our projects, I'm mainly focused on the cutouts, so that's when I went to glue them into the booklet so it wouldn't take too long, since I'm gluing the cutouts in with glue sticks, not the bottle white glue. I walk into class and head to our assigned cubbies that were given to us to store our papers, or in this case, final project, only to find most of the cutouts missing. I look all over for the cutouts and even ask Anna or Miss B if they moved them. Now neither of them had touched my cutouts, but then Miss B remembers that the entitled cheerleader, along with their entitled friend, were hanging out nearby when she opened the classroom door, since we had lunch before class. Then we smell the strong smell of glue and follow it to the trash, where we find all my now ruined cutouts. Anna thinks it was the entitled cheerleader and our entitled friend who did it, but since we didn't have proper proof, we couldn't pin the blame on them, even though they were the ones near the classroom. So I have to redo the cutouts, draw in the emotions, and have it ready to glue on. Then at the end of class, instead of leaving it in my assigned cubby, I brought it home with me. A couple weeks later, I'm working in the pages and made duplicate cutouts, just in case the entitled cheerleader decided to sabotage them again. But for that week, I couldn't work on the project because I was going to be volunteering for a church event from Friday and the weekend, and I had to leave the pages I finished in my cubby. The following Monday, I find out that half the pages I finished were once again ruined, and this time I hear the entitled cheerleader whispering to her friend, "She's gonna have to retype all that stuff again." I'm getting very annoyed at them for once again ruining my stuff, so I say out loud, "It's okay, Miss B. I've got the missing parts of the paragraph saved onto my computer at home. I'll just print them off and glue them on when I get home." Which was a lie, because during my next class, study hall, I went and printed out the part that was missing and glued it onto the pages I had to remake. Then came the day we were supposed to present our projects in front of the whole class. The entitled cheerleader and her her entitled friend had signed up to present theirs along with a few other groups. The other group's project was pretty good and caught my attention, but when it was the entitled cheerleader and her friend's turn to present, I immediately lost interest just after looking at it. Now, all they did was draw 3 to 4 large sheeps onto a cardboard piece they were given and glued a bunch of cotton balls to resemble wool and said, "Now kids, how many sheeps are on the cardboard? Let's count them together. 1 sheep, 2 sheep, 3 sheep, and what comes after 3? 4! That's right, 4 sheep, yay!" Nobody was impressed, and even Miss B had suggested that they do something more creative, but they didn't, so she gave them a C, and they weren't happy since they claimed to have worked hard on their project, and it deserved an A, not a C in their opinion. Then came time for me to present mine, and as I walked to the front of the class, I was very nervous because I hated doing presentations, and I'm a soft-spoken person, so if I get scared, I start whispering. My project is a storybook I wrote called Marie and Her Special Birthday Party, I say. The entitled cheerleader rudely says to her entitled friend, "Oh my god, this is putting me to sleep." I hear them, but I don't let it bother me and I start reading. Now, as I'm reading, I become more comfortable. Then I hear the entitled cheerleader cough loudly. Now this causes me to stop and look at her, then gesture for her to be quiet and respectful as she should have been, only for her to roll her eyes at me. I brush it off and continue reading. Now I'm halfway through my book when the entitled kid starts whispering to the other members of her group. "I bet all her characters are all Asian and just eating dog meat for their meal, and it's not really American food." Jesus, that is horribly racist. I look up at them and ask, "Is there something you'd like to say to the whole class? Since I noticed that you and the entitled cheerleader have been whispering this whole time. If you'd like to read the book instead, I can hand it off to you." This shut them up for the rest of my presentation. After I finish, Miss B pulls me to the side and congratulates me for not letting the entitled cheerleader and her entitled kid or any of the group distract me, and tells me I got a B since she did have a hard time hearing me at certain parts. But overall, I did much better than the entitled cheerleader. Again, sorry this story is long, but I was happy that I got a better grade than the entitled cheerleader and her entitled kid friend. And yeah, you know what, OP, that is thoroughly deserved, because there is nothing worse than doing a presentation which makes you nervous. I assume the majority of us, it makes us nervous at the best of times, but then you get an entitled classmate talking over you, you know, distracting you, just being overall rude. That's not nice, is it? So yeah, you totally deserved a better grade than her. And also, you know, just making a storybook about a sheep, putting some cotton wool on it, and then making children count to 4 sheep. That doesn't inspire me with any sort of confidence in the fact that that is a good project, and yeah, probably deserved at the very best a C. So yeah, overall, I think you definitely got what you deserved, and so did the entitled cheerleader and our entitled kid friend. So guys, that is going to do it for this episode. I hope you have enjoyed. If you did, drop a like, comment your opinions down below. What more do you want to see from me on this channel? That is a question I've got for you as well. Comment that down below. I've got a special video coming out in the next couple of days, so pay attention for that, because that is going to be an absolute banger. But until then, watch another one right now on screen, subscribe to my channel, notifications on, and I will see you tomorrow with a brand new upload.